Hello and welcome back to Anywhere But Here, episode 284. My name is Tom.
My name's Ed.
And you can find us at abhpod.com, where if you scroll down, there is an Amazon banner. I mean, it's getting to be probably the last week before Christmas that you can buy things now and then have them show up on time, unless, of course, you take advantage of Prime or whatever. So if you are, go ahead. You do all your shopping as you usually would, and we get 5% of your total basket spend at the end. It just helps us to pay our web fees. Doesn't cost you any more. Doesn't change the process of purchase at all. You just got to go through our website first, through that banner, and then do it as you usually would. And we just get a little bit more money that keeps us doing this for free.
Yeah, it's just a little extra step. If you want to support us on a more regular basis, and one that we prefer as well, because it allows us to give a little bit back to you, by the Amazon banner, there is a Patreon banner as well. We've just set it to $1 a month. That's all we're asking. We don't have different tiers. We don't reward anyone differently. It's just $1 a month. You can opt to pay more if you want, but we don't require that by any means. Yeah, and like I say, we give a little bit back, so you will get the main podcast without this episode. You'll get After the Podcast, which are exclusive to our patrons. If cinemas ever open properly again and we go to see a cinema, we will record spoiler casts for the biggest films, really. I think the last one we did was Tenet, because that was the one film that was shown after the first lockdown. Tom did a Tenet spoiler cast. And yeah, that just goes out on the Patreon feed as soon as it gets recorded. We don't wait for a gap in the schedule down the line, I suppose. Yeah, go do that. We also have a target. If we hit a certain amount, we will start up our Shipped High in Transit podcast, which is where we sort of look into the unexplained theory. What would you say it is?
Yeah, it's kind of looking at internet myths, but also strange but true type stories, and see if we can get to the bottom of them.
It's sort of like our passion project as a podcast in pair, but obviously hosting it costs money, so that's why we have a little target. So if you could help us out with that'd be great, and you do get stuff back for it.
You can get in contact with us on Twitter at ABH Pod and on Facebook.com/ABH Pod. You can also watch us on YouTube.com/ABH Podcast.
On this week's episode, we talk about the rollout of the COVID vaccine.
We talk about the fact that after 51 years, one of the Zodiac Killer's messages has been deciphered.
We have a good old chat about The Crown, the fantastic show that is The Crown.
But before that, I mean, it's been a while. Brexit.
Enjoy.
It's always the way.
It's a bit weird today anyway, recording a day early.
Yeah, we're talking on Saturday rather than Sunday, which is just
highly unusual. And it's something like really important and world-changing is going to happen today.
Yeah, obviously. Recording. Yeah, it's always going to happen. I mean, you know, maybe Boris will strike a deal with Europe. Nah, I didn't think so.
It's not looking great, is it?
No, it really isn't, and it doesn't look like he's fucking trying either.
No.
I mean, we've known all along that they don't want to deal.
Yeah.
But even though he said a year ago he had an oven-ready deal that just needed to go in the microwave for a minute or two,
which he did. He put it in there, and then it's
come out like a really unappetizing.
Yeah.
Shriveled mess.
He accidentally stored it in a freezer and cooked it on refrigerator settings.
So it's
one of those microwave meals.
Frigid and inedible.
Oh, what a great metaphor.
Yeah.
My God.
I've had a couple of days of really like being very tired, so it's amazing that I'm on this kind of form.
I'm quite tired. I was playing Rocket League last night with some work friends. I want to say last night. This morning.
Fair play.
Yeah. No, I remember waking up one day this week, sort of reading the news and seeing that they were just kind of like, UK citizens will be banned from Europe from January the 1st. And I was just like, Yep.
Well,
Under COVID rules, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, as it should be.
Because we're not on the list of exempt countries.
No,
to their ban.
And nor should we be, because we've got the worst death toll, the worst rate per 100,000 in Europe. So why would we be allowed anywhere?
Exactly. Yeah. And the only reason we're allowed at the minute is because we're not part of the EU. We are still acting as members of the EU. We're
operating under the same terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Which is why there's a lot of, especially in Kent, there's a lot of which is where we are, for those who didn't know, why there's a lot of kind of unease at the moment, because I know for you, when you go back to commuting again down to Ashford, you are going to have a hell of a time. I mean, I can't imagine that you're going to be back in the office too soon anyway.
Very long time, I wouldn't have thought. No,
but it does make you wonder.
Avoiding the motorway, but I don't know if that's going to be any better, because there'll be a lot of people avoiding the motorway.
Yeah, that's it. Everyone knows the same shortcuts. That's the problem.
It's awful.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what it is because basically what looks like is going to happen is that by the time December 31st ends and we're into January of 2021, we are going to have absolutely no deal with the with Europe, and we will have much stricter border controls, which means that the paperwork.
But that's what we fucking need.
Yeah, exactly. It stops them coming in, but it stops us going out as well.
Yeah, exactly. And all of our produce and all of our exports, of the many, many exports we have that are valuable to the EU. I can't.
It still doesn't make any sense,
isn't it? It's still so It's we're there, mate. We're there.
Yeah.
I had this really weird epiphany the other day. Because obviously the COVID-19 vaccine is rolling out now. And obviously there's a lot of naysayers. They rushed it through, and it's like, well, of course they did. They had to. It's no worse than the common cold. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Even if symptomatically and death toll isn't necessarily as bad as the flu, it's the same as the flu. It's the fact that our bodies have no immune system. It's like the transmission rate is just ridiculous. How quickly it can spread. We don't know how it's going to evolve in the human body. We don't know anything about it. So of course they fucking rushed it through. But it's this epiphany that majority of the naysayers, when you go look at their Facebook page, they're all the people who are like, fucking yay Brexit, let's get Brexit done. Boris is great, he's got Brexit done. This fucking government's done it. They've done what we needed them to do. There's a vaccine. Fuck off. I don't trust my government. It's like, what?
No, I know.
It's like they're the same people.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same everywhere, isn't it? I mean, all the people in America who were against masks were also the people who are up in arms about Black Lives Matter and all lives matter, and wanted to defend their right to have a haircut with assault rifles.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid that the government is going to come and take their rights away.
But they're the guys that support Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But then again, he's actually on their side.
Yeah. Well, was he?
Yeah. Whereas Boris is the one who's saying we need to take this vaccine. You need to take the vaccine. They're like, no, fuck it. I trusted you over Brexit, Boris, but not this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah. I sort of had a back and forth with some people on Facebook. This girl was saying, I'm a teenager, so I'm in the low risk category. So if I choose not to have the vaccine, that's up to me. But you're taking my human rights away when you're going to sort of refuse me entry into your shop. And I was like, I just commented, I was like, that's not human rights.
No, you don't have a right to go into a shop.
Every business has the right to refuse service to anyone for whatever reason they want.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's human rights. So I'm like, but it's not. I said, they can refuse your entry for not wearing a T-shirt. does that go against your human rights because you decided not to wear a t-shirt? So I pointed out, like, if you're making the choice not to have this vaccine and that business thinks you're going to be a risk to their customers that have had the vaccine, then they're well within their rights. And then someone argued with me about it. He said, well, something about going against those of us that have gone out and educated ourselves on the contents of a vaccine. And I'm like, no, I can't. And this is a guy with a I said to him, I said, forgive me if I trust the words of doctors and scientists rather than a guy with a business degree. And I think he described himself as like Victorian chic. And I'm just saying that. I picked out the lowest sort of things I could to sort of knock him down. It's a bit petty, but I was just like, what? Stop.
Yeah, I commend your tenacity at trying to talk to these people.
Pettiness. It's pettiness. It's not. Come on, that's what it is. I want to argue with them.
You're trolling them, basically, is what you're doing.
Essentially, yeah. Essentially. It is.
No, I mean, the thing is, like, when you get down to it, it's all ridiculous. I mean, I'm having trouble with someone quite close to me at the moment who has spent most of this year indoors, working from home, literally only seeing maybe 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
Who has become slightly obsessed with various YouTube channels and what you might call conspiracy theories, and is saying that there's no way in hell they're going to take the vaccine because, it's starting to get a little bit worrying because this is a person that I care about.
Yeah, it's an unusual situation. This isn't like a normal anti-vax situation.
No.
Like where you've got this vaccine that's been trial and tested and been given for years that people are against. This is something new. It's unknown. So yes, people are going to be right to be a bit more concerned about it. I have my reservations.
Yeah, absolutely. So do I.
It's like, I don't know. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like I'm willing to take that risk for the betterment of everyone. But, and it could come back and bite me in the fucking ass. Like,
well, already, like, there's a couple of cases where they're saying that there have been adverse side effects.
Yeah.
But then there are some people who have adverse side effects to other vaccines as well.
Of course.
Like, vaccines don't work the same for everyone because it's all specific chemistries and stuff, isn't it? Your chemistry isn't the same as my body chemistry.
No. We're going to react differently. And the thing is, it's a mass rollout. So it's a lot of people all getting it at once.
Yeah.
So there's going to be more cases of like adverse side effects. You're going to see like, oh, look, fucking hell, 10 people that day like got really, really ill after having the vaccine. It's like, yes, but it was given to like 2 million people. Like it's one of those sort of weird situations. But the first few cases with the adverse side effects were people that suffer terribly with allergies, wasn't it? That was the common thing between them all. They all have serious allergies. Yeah. So they all reacted in the same way to this vaccine. So immediately they went, right, if you have really terrible allergies, don't go for the vaccine. And it's those people it's because of those people that can't take it because they have these adverse side effects that I think these people choosing not to take it, that's where they become selfish. Because you're putting these people that can't have the vaccine at risk.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same as the whole, I'm not going to have the vaccine because I don't need it because I'm genetically superior or whatever, It's like, but it's not about you and whether you feel that you need it. It's about protecting everyone else.
It's the same as with the masks. We don't wear masks to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Because that would be silly because it doesn't work that way. We wear the mask to protect others.
Yeah, exactly. And it's this selfishness and this self-centeredness that I think, a lot of people are, are dealing with at the moment. It's that they've never been, maybe they've forgotten the fact that the world isn't just about them.
Yeah. You are not the center of the universe. The other thing that's really annoying, especially being in Kent, is that Boris sort of on TV the other day was like, there's unusually high numbers of COVID cases with secondary school children. Like it's going up with secondary school children in London, Essex and Kent. So what we're going to do is get everyone tested, but still go to school.
Yeah. Yeah, like not close the school for
Mate,
the last week. Yeah, exactly. What is going to be Joe's school is
it's the fuck about week.
Joe's school is closing a day early.
Yeah, close school. They were like, instead of finishing Friday, you're going to finish on Thursday.
That'll make a load of difference.
Midday.
Also, they were saying on the local news last night that even though there's going to be this mass testing, they're only testing people of age 16 and up. They're not testing all school children.
I'm not sure. I think Chloe's school, they're doing it like there's a mobile unit, and I think they're going to do all of them. We, as a family, are going to go and just get ourselves tested tomorrow.
Yeah, Joe had a test last week, which I helped her out with, and hers came back negative.
Oh, did you get one of the male? Well, we're actually going to go.
Yeah, the male ones, yeah.
We are lucky. My mum does work at
a
testing place, so she's booked us in, but like the last appointment tomorrow. Just so we can go as a family and get tested and just rule it out. One of Chloe's friends, like the school he goes to, they've just been like, well, just to make sure everyone's safe for Christmas, we're going to close a week early. Like they're done now.
Yeah.
Like they closed. And we even phoned the school last week, or Liz phoned the school last week and was like, look, well, she emailed them, said, look, my mum's very vulnerable. We're hoping to spend Christmas with her.
Yeah.
Are we okay to not send Chloe for the last week of school? And they're like, no, she's got to come in. And it's just like, really? What the fuck? It's just fucking bonkers. I understand. Well, we prefer children to be in school. It's like, yes, so do we. As parents, we do want our child to have an education.
Of course.
But we also do want to spend Christmas with our family. Yes, it's a temporary thing, but if any of us come down with symptoms, we can't see my mother-in-law, who would basically be on our own at Christmas if we have to self-isolate over the Christmas, which, it still could happen, but we want to minimise the risks of it. It's bonkers. It's messed up.
It is. And I personally, I've probably said it before on here, don't really, I would rather not have a Christmas with my family this year than, I know that everyone's different, and obviously you've got Chloe, so Christmas is about the kids more than it is anyone else.
There is that. But if Liz's mum wasn't on her own,
oh no, absolutely, like that. That's a totally,
of course, yeah. But that's why we're sort of not seeing my whole family because we're not allowed.
Exactly.
But there's going to be people that flout the rules. Like,
of course there are. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where the rates go in January and February.
I just feel like social media is going to be very quiet this year because people are like, well, I can't post it on Facebook.
Oh, come on. After a few sherries.
Everyone's going to be like,
people are going to forget. Mate, people forget when they've called into work sick, and then they'll post stuff of them going out the night before.
Yeah, it's true.
Or or going out to whatever thing up in London that they're going to.
Yeah, they do it all the time. Fucking hell, if Kay Burley fucking flouts the rules, what the fuck are we all going to do?
That's it. What's quite interesting is she was having a go at one of the ministers only a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
About one rule for us and one rule for them.
Yeah. She, Sky News reporter, basically quite hard hitting. Like she will go at people.
Yeah.
But she turned 60, decided to have 10 of her mates over.
Yeah.
Got caught.
No, they went. Did they? Was it?
I think it was her house. Was it
right?
Her house?
I thought I heard on Have I Got News for You last night that it was somewhere and they had 2 tables, one of 6 and one of 4. But whether or
they
not
did
that
it in
was,
public.
Well, yeah, that's what I've heard. But
Oh my
I don't
God.
know the ins and outs actually. But I know that she's been suspended for 6 months.
Mate, that's fucking mad.
And then the other people, Beth Rigby and some of the other correspondents there have been suspended for 3 months each.
Yeah, because they attended her birthday celebrations, didn't they? Oh no, it was a night out. Sorry, I missed that. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean it's exactly the same. I mean, not long ago as well, Rita Ora did the same thing, didn't she?
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, no,
God.
she went out with a load of her mates.
I mean, to be fair, like I've never mentioned where I worked, have I? On here? No, that's fine. So when the rule of 6 was first introduced, and granted, our infection rate in Kent was significantly lower back then, but it was the week that it was introduced, so it was going to be the first day of the rule of 6 rules. The ward I worked on, they were like, well, we've booked like a meal out sort of thing, and basically it ended up being like 15 of them ended up going for a meal, but they all sat on separate tables. And it's just and that was a hospital.
Yeah.
And it's just like, eesh. And that's what Kay Burley did, isn't it? Booked the 2 tables or whatever. And
because they think it's a loophole, but yeah, after a few, everyone wants to hang out together.
You mingle,
yeah.
I mean, the pictures that were shared in the WhatsApp group from the ward I worked on and that thing, it's like they were all fucking moving all over the place and taking big group photos, and it's selfish, man.
No, I know.
Selfish.
Rita Ora's thing, she threw a birthday party. It was her 30th birthday. She threw a party where it was reported that up to 30 people were at.
Wow.
That was somewhere in a restaurant called Casa Cruz up in London. Then she also went to Egypt on the 21st of November and failed to self-isolate when she came back after she performed there.
Oh my God.
So yeah, she's going great guns, Rita Ora. Well done.
Nice. But
it's amazing though, isn't it? Because you think like these people, especially celebrities like Rita Ora, you're being papped all the time. You're under massive scrutiny. How do you think you can get away with that?
Yeah, and the thing is that you get like young people look at these celebrities as sort of role models in a sense. Like, well, if they can do it, I can fucking do it.
Exactly.
Like it's complacency as well. I mean, we've spoken about it a couple of times where people are starting like just fed up.
Yeah,
but we're fed up of it. Like we could get complacent and go, do you know what? Fuck it. I don't give a shit. I'm just going to go do this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
But the fact that, you know, even when the first lockdown ended, we still continued to record from home. And that would have just been the two of it, like just me coming over to your place and just the two of us. But it's not worth it. I mean, it does help that we did this and we found out, oh, actually, this is easy.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'd love to get back together and do it face to face, but
we could
at the end of the day, it's not just you and me, is it? I mean, it's you and whoever your,
my support bubble is. Yeah,
it's also, Chloe and her school, and it's like Joe and the entirety of her school.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people involved that you just don't, you hardly even think about.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm technically, I mean, the only people that I've really seen since September is obviously Joe, and then my mum and her and my stepdad, like, and that's basically been it. But at the same time, that's Joe and her X number of classes, and colleagues, and my parents. My mum is working. Nigel's working. Like, they're out there still, like, obviously trying their best. Everyone's trying their best, but your best isn't always good enough.
No, and this is what I try to point out to Chloe as well when she goes out and sees her friend, like they meet up outside, and they sometimes go for a walk, or they sit outside his house or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of like, you are like social distancing. You're not going into his house for any reason. And she's like, well, it's only, and I'm like, no. He goes to school. His brothers go to school. You know, they all sort of mix with like you're saying, these many people. You go to school and mix with your classmates. And then Liz goes, or she hasn't been, but Liz will go into work twice a week. And yes, I'm sat at home, but it's like all these different people. And then we are going to go to dinner at grandma's, and she's vulnerable, and you're going out and seeing all this, but we need to minimize the number of people we see.
Yeah.
And it's just like having that awareness of it. It's, I mean, and like you say, people can be as careful as they want, but it's not always enough. So my brother was tested positive at the weekend, or not, right? It is the weekend, like in the week. And I was like, any idea where you might have picked it up from? And he's like, no, I literally like take the dog out for walks, and if I go anywhere else, I wear a mask. Like, I don't know.
Taking every precaution possible, and still, I mean, this is it. I mean, Lewis Hamilton the other week was tested positive for it, and he's been one of the more kind of obviously careful people out there. There's been a couple of the drivers this year have contracted it, and one who, you know, went back to Mexico to visit his mum who'd had an accident and then came back. And he, even though he'd taken private jets, like he'd done all that kind of thing and still managed to get it. Yeah. And like, you know, it can happen even when you're being the most careful, like your brother. Yeah.
And this is where it sort of does bring it home. So I know my brother, he is careful. Like he's going to stick to the rules. He's a stickler for that sort of thing. And for him to pick it up is just like, how, like, and that's why it's just so easily transmitted. And that's where it's so much worse than the flu.
Well, yeah, this is the thing that marks it apart.
With the flu, generally people have some sort of resilience to it because it's an older, you know, it's an old virus.
Years.
It's Whereas this is a brand new virus. Nobody's body's got any sort of defense for it. So if you're going to get it, you're going to get it.
Yeah.
And people say mild symptoms. I don't think there's any such thing, because from what I've heard, everyone I know that has contracted it says it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And these are healthy people.
Yeah. I knew someone that I used to work with who contracted it, and she said that she didn't really feel much worse than having a cold, but she did lose her sense of smell, and that went for weeks.
Yeah.
You know, before it came back. Like there are these weird long COVID symptoms, aren't there? You know, that people are reporting, like problems with their sense of smell or balance or whatever,
and
like.
There's a woman that I worked with that she suffered with it quite badly when she got it. She really, really suffered with it for a short period of time. And she said, like, before having COVID, she very, very rarely got ill. And since then, she's not gone like 2 weeks without feeling rough and having to take like an afternoon off work.
Right.
Like it's that knock-on effect. Like it has completely just fucking destroyed her immune system, where she's just getting ill all the time now. And these are all effects of COVID. Like you can't say that's not an effect of COVID, because she was healthy beforehand. She very rarely got ill. Now she's always getting ill.
Yeah.
Since she's had it. Like it is as an effect. It's fucking, I don't know, man.
Yeah. And it goes back to what we were saying about people not wanting the vaccine. It's it's an incredibly selfish and narrow-minded view.
Yeah.
Yes, the vaccine has been rolled out incredibly quickly, but I don't believe that scientists would make something available that wasn't that wasn't as close to as effective as it needs to be as possible. I wouldn't trust it if the government had produced it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Although our government was like, we want it first because, Britain, we're going to be the first people.
No, we want it first because after the 1st of January, it's going to be very fucking difficult to get hold of it. That's why we want it first.
Yeah, because it's produced in Germany or Turkey,
EU.
and then bottled somewhere else, and then packaged in Belgium. Like,
what do all these places have in common?
Yep,
it's something we don't anymore.
yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves. Why, like our fucking, I don't know, because it's that thing as well. Is that we're still at the minute, we are still under EU authority, like, and they're medical sort of professionals, and they're what is it? They certify the vaccines and stuff, don't they?
Like EU kite marks and things like that.
Yeah, who was it who said we could have it? Who signed it off quickly? Oh yeah, it wasn't the EU fucking health administration or whatever. It was our own one, who don't actually exist yet.
Yeah,
have no power yet, and they were just like, yeah, we'll sign it off, mate. It's like, because they had to, because we won't get it otherwise.
But we'll be at the back of the bloody queue, I can tell you that much.
It's fucking hell. It's just all like, you look at it and you're like, how does no one see this?
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous, because people believe and are easily taken in by sloganeering. We've got the greatest NHS in the world, and that's why we've got the,
No, the reason we've got it is because we're fucked if we don't get it now. It's the other thing that gets me as well. Like you, when we opened up, you said about the sort of Brexit talks with no deal Brexit. It's just so stupid. Like on the front page of like most of the newspapers, like, oh, France blocks EU deal, and France blocks this, and Germany does that, and it's like, no, they didn't.
Yeah, I think both sides have been belligerent in certain cases. It's not all, I don't know, David Davis's fault or whoever the hell came after him. No. I mean, admittedly, the Conservative government has done almost everything in its power to be completely incompetent in dealing with these negotiations. They've gone in with a very fixed, like, we don't want to be in the club, but we want all the benefits of being in the club. And if you don't give us the benefits of being in the club, then we don't want to know. Yeah. And the EU are quite rightly like, well, you're leaving the club, so you can't have all the benefits of leaving the club. Like, we admit that you are, a relatively powerful economy. And that we should, we need to move on certain issues so that, we continue to have a decent relationship. But you need to realize that you're not in the group anymore. It's like we've made the comparison before. If you're a part of a members club, you go there to eat and drink, and you pay your fees per year. And for that you get, the benefit of mixing with certain people, as well as discounts on food and drink. And, those people that you meet might be incredibly good doctors or plastic surgeons or whatever it is that would benefit your life.
Great contacts.
Brilliant contacts. Then if you decide that actually, I think we're wasting a lot of money paying my bill for this place, so I'm going to not pay anymore. But I'd still like to come in and have all the benefits of being a member. You wouldn't be surprised if that club then turned around and said, fuck off. Like,
it's like, if that club, like you say, was full of doctors and scientists, all PhDs and everything like that, and you've been paying your bill, and they've got all this knowledge and they can help you out. You've got those great contacts. You stop paying your bill, and then you sort of walk up to the door and say, I'm going to come in. Like, but you stop paying your bill. But you need me in there. Sorry, why do we need you in there? Well, because I've got a bachelor's in psychology. It's that sort of thing, isn't it? Like, that's what the UK is. Like, the EU are fucking like the PhDs in like engineering terms and exports, and we've got a fucking bachelor's, and we feel like no, you need us in there. You need our expertise in there. But, mate, no.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it makes no sense. From being in the trade I've been in for the last 5 years, it's astounding to see what European pan-European projects can do in the world of, you know, science, engineering, all that kind of thing. You know, there is a European space agency. Yes, there's a UK space agency, but when was the last time the UK launched a set of satellites or anything else? You know, when did the UK space agency do anything on its own?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm not saying the UK doesn't have experts or expertise in anything. And obviously, I'm not talking down on people with bachelors in psychology or bachelor's degrees.
No.
You know what I mean? But it's like in comparison to like a room full of PhD.
The benefit is working together and having access to the best of each country, not just your own. So you're getting it's
collaborative. It's, you know, you get more done as a team than you do on your own.
Yeah.
And the EU do not need us for anything.
No, not really.
Like, they've got each other. They don't need us. It's but yeah, so we're having an Australia style deal rather than a Canada style deal, which is basically no fucking deal at all. It's World Trade Organization, which is can I have some of that?
But it's okay because Boris met with the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi the other day. So, you know, I don't know what Abu Dhabi produces apart from petrol. Sand. Yeah.
A great fucking sand pit.
Yeah. So, it boggles the mind. It really does.
Mate, it's messed. It's messed up. But, oh well.
Have you heard of the Zodiac Killer?
Yeah, I was reading that this morning. I was looking at that this morning.
It's interesting, isn't it? Some code breakers have managed to decipher a 51-year-old
message
that the Zodiac Killer sent to the San Francisco Chronicle.
Seems like a bit of wasted time, really, doesn't it? Have you read the message?
Yes.
It's a bit of a waste of time, really.
Yeah, I mean, but again, you know, the code was solved by 3 people from the US, Belgium, and Australia. Collaboration.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that they broke the code, and I'm assuming that's just not what they've been doing all this time. That's all they've been working on. Like, I imagine it's a bit of a side project.
Yeah. I mean, they're Australian applied mathematician Sam Blake.
Wow.
Belgian Jarl van Eyck, a warehouse manager and code-breaking software engineer.
Oh, nice.
And Virginia web designer. So
you got some front end for that.
I guess, you know, some of these people, like, they've got, you know, decent qualifications in this stuff, but they're not professional code breakers. This is an amateur thing.
Yeah, but they did something that professionals couldn't.
Yeah, for 51 years.
Fuck, maybe those bachelor students are needed.
But yeah, I mean, the message reads, "I hope you're having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I'm not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner because I now have enough slaves to work for me."
It seems like a well man.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't have anything about the guy's or girl's identity, because this is one of the most kind of infamous serial killer.
I mean, it's one of those things I've heard of. I don't know the story behind it. I've not seen anything about it, so I don't really know what he did.
Have you've not seen the film Zodiac?
No.
With it's really good. It's David Fincher who directed Seven.
Yeah,
it's him, and I think it's about the San Francisco Chronicle reporters who were, you know, trying to crack the case for years and years, and it's got Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, a whole bunch of people, lots of MCU people.
I was going to say,
Iron Man, the Hulk, and Mysterio. Because it's difficult to find a film where there's not someone in the MCU in it nowadays.
Yeah, 3 of the best minds in the MCU.
So it's quite interesting. But essentially this person killed something like 5 people. back in between December 1968 and July 1969, and would send these kind of taunting, cryptic notes to the I think they first sent them to the police, and then the police stopped printing them, so he started sending them to the newspaper, and just kind of, you know, showing off about the fact that you're still no closer to finding me, I'm going to keep doing this. And then after a while he was like, right, I'm not going to do it anymore and you'll never find me. And it's really it's enigmatic, you know. There's you would think that with all the kind of detecting, you know, all the kind of law enforcement and all the science behind it, that at some point something would turn up.
Yeah. But nothing.
That would lead to, you know, the suspect's identity, but nothing ever has. And there was no, I don't think there was any particular pattern in who was being murdered.
I think that's the thing, because it's so random.
Yeah.
And I imagine all of the messages used a different code, and it probably wasn't even a well thought out code. It was probably just random.
Quite possibly. Yeah, exactly. The killer eventually claimed to have murdered 37 people. But the actual number that they think is more close to what they believe is 7. That's not to say that the person didn't kill 37. It's just that they know that he probably most likely did kill 7. The other film that
killed those 7.
Yeah.
It may have been more.
Yeah. The other film that references it as well is Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, the first Dirty Harry. It's kind of, I think the killer in that is called the Zodiac as well. I think it clearly about that, but like a fictionalized account of it. But yeah, it's just interesting that like these kind of amateur code breakers have managed to decipher this letter. Unfortunately, it doesn't kind of shed any more light on anything.
No, but it's one of those things. Yeah. Like it is weird. And I think you see cases of that all over the place, that it's hobbyists, because I think like the police and people like that just like, right, we're not getting any closer. We can't put any more time or money into this. Yeah. And then you get people just doing it for a hobby, figuring it out. But I read that and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think about it, it's 52 years ago since the first set of killings. So if you're thinking about someone who's a murderer, you're probably looking at least, a serial killer as well. You're looking at least for people in their 20s. Yeah. So right now, this person would be well into their 70s, if not 80s or older.
Or dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Out of the 2 films, I mean, Dirty Harry is a classic, but Zodiac is, I mean, you've seen 7, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a long film, Zodiac, but it's really tense. Yeah. And there's a couple of moments in it where they think they've got the person and they're basically on the right track, but then something trips them up and the person gets away. And but that's not even the end of the story. Like it's a really good film, and like some of the most unsettling kind of murder scenes as well. Like, just out of nowhere, because there is no motive, there's no particular targets. Anyone could get it next. There's a horrible thing. Like I think it's right at the beginning of the film where he knifes this person while they're taking a picnic, and it comes out of nowhere. There's no music. Yeah, it's a really good film.
Yeah, I might have to look that out. We're speaking of watching things now, we're watching The Crown season 4. I think it'll be 6 episodes in. It's just
the one with Diana.
It's just so fucking good. Like this series, particularly, just for some reason, it's just so good.
Yeah.
and like it's just, it's one of those things as well that boggles the mind, where people are like only just realizing these are fictionalized accounts.
Yeah, I know. Like, people are really going overboard with this season in particular, with like the historical.
I think it's because it's Diana.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact it's portraying characters like there seems to be an agenda towards.
Yeah.
And yeah, there does. But I think they're using like the public's view, like it's how the public felt about Diana. Like, people loved her.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved her. And you are watching it, and it's just, I don't know how you feel. Like, you're watching it knowing this woman's like what happens to her at the end, and it's just so like you just feel so emotional. And that fucking actress is just incredible.
Yeah, she's astounding.
Like just the mannerisms, and it's like watching Diana.
So that slightly cocked head.
Yeah, it's just absolutely stunning the way she's portrayed, and even the guy who's playing Charles is just.
He's got that kind of hunch down, hasn't he? Like, his kind of physical.
And that sort of, it's so good. And
yeah, I was watching them on Graham Norton's show a few weeks back, just when I think the Crown had just started going out. Yeah. And they were both talking about how they get into their character. Mm. And she was saying that her thing was a word. I think it was gosh.
Gosh. Yeah.
And that was the way that she'd get into it. And his thing is like, he'd studied video of Prince Charles, and every time he gets out of a car, he checks both cufflinks, pocket square.
Wow.
And then,
it's just little touches, isn't it? Like that.
Yeah. They were like, well, it's kind of like Rafa Nadal's serve. Like, I don't know whether you ever watched Rafa Nadal in the tennis. Like, he does all this kind of like stuff.
Sort of wipes his face and yeah, that's true. But yeah, watching those two, it was going to pick up on this one scene where like I was on the verge of fucking crying, like, just because she's just that good. And like, it's not even, and I think it's a scene where she finds the plans for the bracelet having designed for Camilla. And then she goes and puts on her dance stuff. She's in like the ballroom. Yeah, right. And it's that Elton John music. Yeah. And then you remember the friendship between Elton John and Princess Diana. And it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah. But it's also the fact that you see her before all that, and she's going out clubbing and like listening to Duran Duran and stuff like that. God. And you're like, yeah. And you can see it and you're like, just don't. It's like a horror film. Don't go in there.
And I think there's a scene where somebody says like, oh, she's like, she's going to make a fantastic queen. And like me and Liz were just both there like, she would have been amazing. It's so sad.
Yeah.
But I at the same time, I do feel like sorry for Camilla and Charles around that time as well, because they was like so in love.
They were kept apart. Yeah.
But she was. But at the same time, like the way it portrays it in there is like she just like he couldn't have been with her like as she was. But then it's the same like with Diana, like she shouldn't have been with him as she was. Like it shouldn't have worked. But and the relationship she had with Philip as well. In that scene, it's just so good, man. I just love it.
Yeah. It's a really, really good show. I mean, it's something like, I know a lot of people are very kind of polarized around the royal family, and like, I know certain people wouldn't ever watch it because of the content, because it's the royal family. And I really know. But as a fictional show based on these real life people, it's really well made, really well scripted, and it kind of, it does the job right.
But it does show you like the ludicrousy of a royal family as well. Like it doesn't shy away from that. Like you love them as characters, as people, they're fantastic, but you also see that side of it where they just point out it's like they're not normal people. Although they say they're normal people, they're not normal people, and they're extremely stuck up. Like when Diana first, the scenes where Diana first, like, of course, it probably doesn't happen like it in real life, but when she first moves into the palace and they're all stood in a circle before dinner, just having a chat, and then she comes in and she's having to bow down to people and they're correcting, like, no, what you're doing, you don't bow to her.
You bow to her, but you don't
bow to her first,
yeah.
and then you bow to him, and then she's next, and then you bow to me. And it's like, yeah, and it's so awkward, that scene.
Yeah, I mean, how can they be normal people when they literally believe that they have been chosen by God to rule?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that is true.
It's and never to have been raised by their own parents, let alone in a normal way, mixing with normal people. Like, it just they're not normal. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because it comes across as quite anti-royalist in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, it's really kind of taking apart.
But you love those characters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like we've said,
Anne
and Margaret are the best in it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Anne and Margaret are brilliant. Philip, you start to really like the way you're starting to see that part of him that we all know of him now.
Yeah,
like
the
that
slightly mischievous.
Yeah, and that's in series 3 where he's gripped by the moon landings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you really feel sorry for him there as well, where he kind of wants, I need to meet these brilliant men that went to the moon.
Yeah.
And then then he's meeting them, trying to ask them these questions, and has this massive, like, just these thoughts, and then they come in and they're just asking stupid questions of him, and he just realizes, no, they're just idiots. Like, they're just normal people. Like, they're not these mega minds that are thinking philosophically about everything.
No, they're just pilots, aren't they?
They're just blokes,
yeah.
But it's so well written. It's so good. So good. Gillian Anderson as well.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I didn't even, I forgot she was in it. And then it took me probably half an episode
to realise it was
like,
her.
Oh, shit, it's her.
Yeah. Fucking incredible. All of them, just so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's even when we were saying about the first or second series where, John Lithgow's Churchill was incredible, But apparently Thatcher and the Queen actually got on quite well. There wasn't this kind of, but doesn't make for good television, does it? There needs to be
you almost like Thatcher as well.
Yeah, I know.
At times.
Yeah, it was very disconcerting.
Because I think the problem is, as we're getting older, we're looking at her and we're like, mate, she's got a point.
Yeah.
But I think you agree with her in the same vein you agree with Thanos. Isn't it?
Yeah.
They've got a point.
It might not be the right.
Does need to happen.
It might not be the right way to go about it.
Really fucked up. Their names both begin with THA as well.
Yeah. Never seen them both in the same room.
You haven't. You haven't. That is very true. Oh god.
Margaret Thanos.
There's the title.
There's the title.
Margaret Thanos. One is inevitable.
The lady is not for turning half the population of the universe into ash.
Yeah. Oh god. Fucking stupid.
Oh man.
Oh.
I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah. I thought we were going to top it.
No. But yeah, okay, cool. Well, if you're a Patreon, you can go straight over to Patreon and hear a little bit more. We do after the podcasts. We've picked up a new Patreon who will be shouting out over there.
Yeah, we do.
And so that's cool. So we're kind of creeping slightly towards
ship time transit. Yeah. Should probably start researching soon.
Yeah.
I've still got my bookmarks folder.
Yeah, so do I. It's all good. I've got my literal books with literal bookmarks in them.
Yeah.
But yeah. Cool. Well, we'll go over there. Become a patron. You can hear even more of our
absurd fucking theories.
But for this week, I've been Tom.
I've been Ant.
Bye. Hello and welcome back to Anywhere But Here. Yeah, that is the name.
That is the name.
Isn't it?
Yeah. You've been doing band biographies too much, mate.
Fuck.
You can. On this week's episode, we discuss... Mate, I've forgotten. Oh, there's a delivery guy as well. Shitting hell. I'm going to have to get up to get that.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's all right. It's all right. It's editing.
Just
it's
leave
fine.
the silence. Leave the silence.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder what Ant's got. Will it be something from... Oh. Can't tell from the exchange. Will it be some weird massage thing again? It's
glasses
purple.
for work.
Oh.
My blue light glasses.
To shield your eyes from the blue light glare.
Yeah. Because at the minute I've got my night mode set on my laptop and stuff, so it's orange. Just filtered out. Anyway,
on this episode,
it's not Brexit. COVID.
COVID.
Yeah. On this week's episode, we talk about the rollout of